boat?
Oh, oh.
Yeah, is anyone a mechanic? No mechanics on the boat? That's okay. All right, everybody, you may stand up. You may stand up. So, who's ready for the swimming part? Ready to go? Nobody, right? All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the Everglades, and basically everything you've seen so far, or everything you see around, is not a swamp. This is more like a river, and it is considered to be one of the slowest rivers in the planet. It begins in the center of the state, that way, around Lake Okeechobee. It's just a big lake about 3 hours to the north. Then it travels down to the Keys and out into the Gulf of Mexico. Out here in the Everglades, you may be able to find the American alligators, which is the first one that we saw on the right, and the American crocodiles. And by the way, the Everglades is the only place in the entire planet where both of these animals coexist in the same environment, and nowhere else you will find this. So I have a question for you guys. Who in here knows the difference between alligators and crocodiles? Anybody? Yes, sir, all the way in the front.
The alligator's snout is rounded and the crocodile's pointed and the teeth.
It's right.
Crocodile top and bottom.
Okay,
Alligator's-
let's talk about the teeth for a little bit. He is right, 100% on point. So their teeth, on the crocodiles, when they close their snout, you can see both teeth, top and bottom. On the gators, you can only see the top. But this is where my problem begins. If you see them in the water, are you gonna be like, hey man, let me see your teeth? That's not gonna happen, right? So I'm gonna go for the shape of their snout. That is the most common difference. Gators are short and round, like he mentioned. Crocodiles, long and pointing. Also, the crocs are way bigger than the gators. How big, you may ask? Well, for that, we gotta take a look at how many crocodilians we have. That's the family they belong to, crocodilians. We have over 12 different type of crocodilians, and the biggest ones are the Australian saltwater crocodiles. Definitely the biggest ones. They can grow somewhere between 19 to about 23 feet, which in reality, if you think about it, that's almost the size of, actually half the size of this boat. That's pretty big, right? You don't want to mess around with Godzilla, do you? Now, gators are a little bit smaller, like you saw them. They can grow between 10 or about 15 feet. I mean, don't get it twisted, that's still pretty massive, but nothing compares to the crocs. One very important thing about the gators is that gators have a natural fear for people. They're born that way. I'll give you an example. If you jump in the water on top of a big alligator because you're trying to look cool that day, the alligator's natural instinct will be to swim away. But the crocodiles will swim towards you. And if you don't believe me, you try, okay? It's a lot of fun. Tell me how it went. Now, changing the subject just a little bit. Who's from Florida? Who lives here? Anybody? Nobody? Am I the only one? Okay. Where's everybody staying? In a hotel, I assume, right? In a car? Regardless of where you're staying. You see all this water around here? Well, check it out. This is the water that everybody here in the boat and the rest of the state, people drink and shower with. That's right. It's all rainwater. It's fresh water. So basically what happens is that the water goes down through the mud, then through a giant rock called limestone, which is the bedrock of the Everglades, and everything eventually will get filtered into our houses and hotels. Obviously, do not drink this water, okay? Guess where the alligators do, number one and number two. Exactly. You don't want that in your system, okay? Some of you may be wondering, how deep is the water? What's the depth? Well, I don't know if you can see it at this moment, but I can promise you, it's very, very shallow, but it depends where you go. It could be 6 feet or 2 meters deep, 1 foot or a few little inches in some places. Also, guys, during a drought, you can walk all over this place without any problems. Up to this point, do you have any questions about the Everglades? Anything you would like to know? Nope. Any questions about the gators? My personal life? No, not even that? That's okay. What I'm gonna do for you next, I'm gonna keep moving. I will try my best to find you some alligators. And the only reason why I say I'm gonna try is because, number one, they move around, they live in the wild. Number two, they tend to hide inside those little islands that you see all over the place. They go under the trees in the shade. Because remember, they don't have AC like we do. On top of that, something they don't tell you on TV, but I'm gonna share with you a little secret, is when gators and crocodiles submerge, when they go underwater, they can hold their breath between 4 and 5 hours. Yeah, they can do that by lowering their heart to only 1 beat per minute. I can do that too, okay, not a big deal. But I'll try my best to find them. Last but not least, if you see a gator, please keep your hands in the boat. Don't try to reach out, grab them and take a selfie, okay? I can promise you guys, alligators don't like selfies at all. You may think I don't have to say that, right? Well, check this out. About 10 years ago, when I got hired, when I was new, we saw a lady trying to place a baby on top of a gator for a picture. Yeah, crazy people do crazy things. Don't try to understand them, they're just cuckoo, okay? So remember, if you ever out here by yourself and you see a statue of a gator on top of the grass, we don't have any statues. That's a real one, okay? Just stay on the sidewalk, take pictures, don't run away, they're not gonna chase you. That, my friends, only happens in the movies. So for now, go ahead and have a seat and enjoy the rest of the tour. So this is what we're gonna do. If you guys are sitting in the middle or the left, you may stand up on the chair. You may stand up on the chair. Stand up on it. If you guys are on the right side, you can sit from where you are. So what you're looking at right now, it's a big American alligator. And gators in reality are very lazy animals. And about 90% of the alligator's life, they spend it doing absolutely nothing. But of course, we don't get to see that on television, right? Television is not really accurate. As a matter of fact, if a gator is never bothered and you leave it alone, it can stay on the same spot for up to 17 hours a day without moving any muscles. And I know some of us can relate to that, right? But these animals are cold-blooded. They don't have to move around as much as we do. After all, remember, their heart, it's only beating about once a minute. That's why they look dead all the time. And I had people asking me before, pretty recently too, are the alligators real? Yes, the gators are real, 100%. Why is it not moving around like doing backflips or breakdancing like in television? Simple, it's a cold-blooded animal, okay? But guys, let me tell you, don't expect that type of behavior with every single wild alligator out here in the Everglades. That one, although it's a wild gator and we don't take care of it, we don't feed it, we don't pet it, that's not a pet. However, it was born in these areas. So from day one, ever since it was a baby, it got very used to the noise, to the boats, and to humans. But make no mistake, that's not your cool friend across the street, okay? That's a wild alligator. That thing can move fairly quickly in the blink of an eye. Any questions? And, another question that people ask me pretty recently too is, can alligators